Imagine a dessert that is light as a feather, sweet as sugar, and as versatile as you can imagine. That's right, we're talking about meringue. This delightful treat has graced our dessert plates in various forms, from airy domes crowning pies to the delicate shells of macarons. It's the silent hero, adding a touch of elegance and sweetness to any dish it adorns. Meringue, in its simplest form, is a mixture of sugar and egg whites, whipped to perfection. However, its applications are as diverse as the desserts it enhances. It's one of the fundamental building blocks of pastry, a quintessential ingredient that gives many desserts their tenderness and airiness. We see it in the velvety texture of mousses, the softness of cakes, and the crunchiness of biscuits. In the world of desserts, meringue is like a chameleon. It can be used raw or cooked, depending on the needs of the dessert. You'll find it as a silky topping on a lemon tart, baked to a golden brown, or as the airy filling in a chocolate mousse, lending it a light and fluffy texture. The famous pavlova dessert, named after the Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova, is a perfect example of meringue's versatility. It's a delicate dessert made of a crisp meringue shell filled with whipped cream and fresh fruits. The meringue here is crunchy on the outside, soft and marshmallowy on the inside, a testament to the diverse textures meringue can bring to a dessert. But it's not just about the taste and texture. Mastering meringue means understanding its chemistry. It's about knowing how to whip the egg whites to the right consistency, how to add the sugar without deflating the mixture, and how to bake it to achieve the desired texture. It's a culinary science that requires precision and practice. Whether you're a dessert lover or an aspiring baker, meringue is a pivotal component you should know about. So let's embark on this sweet journey and discover the magic of meringue together. Meringue isn't just one thing. There are several types, each with its unique preparation method and composition. It's like the chameleon of the baking world, able to adopt different forms and functions depending on its composition and how it is prepared. Let's start with the most common one, the French meringue. This is the simplest form of meringue, made by beating egg whites until they form soft peaks, then gradually adding sugar while continuing to whip until stiff peaks form. The result is a light, airy mixture that can be piped into shapes and baked until crisp. This is the meringue you'll see atop a lemon meringue pie or formed into little cookies. It's also the base for those fancy French macarons you see in patisseries. However, it's also the least stable of the meringues and can easily deflate if not handled properly. Next, we have the Italian meringue. This one is a little more complex. It involves making a hot sugar syrup and gradually pouring it into beaten egg whites, then continuing to whip until it cools. This creates a meringue that's glossy, voluminous, and very stable. It's also safe to eat without further cooking because the hot syrup cooks the egg whites. You'll find Italian meringue used in buttercreams, mousses, and as a topping for desserts like baked Alaska. And lastly, there's the Swiss meringue. This one is made by whisking egg whites and sugar together over a double boiler until the sugar dissolves, then whipping until stiff peaks form. The result is a dense, marshmallow-like meringue that's incredibly smooth and silky. It's the perfect topping for pies and tarts, and it's also the base for Swiss meringue buttercream, a favorite among bakers for its smooth texture and ability to hold up in warmer temperatures. Each of these types of meringue has its own special characteristics. French meringue is light and airy, perfect for cookies and as a topping for pies. Italian meringue is glossy and stable, great for frostings and fillings. And Swiss meringue is dense and marshmallowy, ideal for pie toppings and buttercreams. But it's not just about their characteristics. Each type of meringue also requires a different method of preparation. French meringue is made at room temperature. Italian meringue involves cooking a sugar syrup, and Swiss meringue requires a double boiler. So depending on what you're baking, you might choose one type of meringue over another. And let's not forget about their specific uses in baking. French meringue often forms the base for macarons and other cookies. Italian meringue is used in frostings and mousses, and Swiss meringue is commonly used for pie toppings and buttercreams. Each type of meringue brings its own unique texture and flavor to these desserts, making them that much more delicious. So, whether it's a French macaron, an Italian meringue buttercream, or a Swiss meringue pie, there's a meringue type for every dessert. Whichever type you choose, you'll be adding a touch of lightness, sweetness, and sophistication to your baked goods. And who doesn't want that? Now that we know about the different types of meringue, let's unravel the process of making this delightful dessert. Making meringue is a little like magic. It's transforming something as simple as egg whites and sugar into a cloud-like delicacy. The process may seem daunting at first, but with a few tips and tricks, you'll be whipping up meringue like a pro. First, let's talk about the main ingredient in meringue: egg whites. You'll want to separate your egg whites from the yolks when the eggs are cold, but whip them when they're at room temperature. Why, you ask? Well, cold eggs are easier to separate, and room temperature egg whites whip up to a higher volume. Now, onto the whipping process, which is all about incorporating air. Start by whipping your egg whites at a low speed until they get frothy. As you whip, you're unfolding the proteins in the egg whites, allowing them to form a network that traps and holds air. Once frothy, you can start adding sugar, but do it gradually. Dumping in all the sugar at once can deflate your egg whites, and we definitely don't want that. So sprinkle in your sugar a bit at a time while continuing to whip. Here's a tip: superfine sugar is best for meringue because it dissolves more easily. If you don't have superfine sugar, you can give regular granulated sugar a quick whirl in the food processor. As you whip, you'll notice your meringue going through stages. First, it will reach soft peaks, where the meringue is still quite loose. If you lift your whisk, the peaks will flop over. This is the stage you want for desserts like soufflés. Keep whipping and you'll get to medium peaks. Here, the peaks will hold their shape a bit more, but the tips will still fold back onto themselves. This is the stage for things like topping pies. Finally, if you keep going, you'll reach stiff peaks. The meringue will be thick and glossy, and the peaks will stand up straight when you lift your whisk. This is the stage for making meringue cookies or pavlovas. Once you've reached your desired stage, it's time to bake or dry your meringue, depending on what you're using it for. Baking at a low temperature allows the meringue to dry out and become crispy, while a higher temperature will cook the outside quickly and leave the inside soft and marshmallowy. Now let's talk about some common mistakes to avoid. First, any fat or oil can prevent your egg whites from whipping up properly. So make sure your bowl and whisk are clean and dry, and be careful when separating your eggs not to get any yolk in the whites. Second, don't overbeat your meringue. Once it reaches stiff peaks, stop whipping. If you keep going, the meringue can become grainy and start to separate. Finally, remember that meringue doesn't like humidity. So try to make it on a dry day if you can, and once it's made, store it in an airtight container to keep it from absorbing moisture from the air. With these tips, you're now ready to whip up some meringue of your own. A meringue isn't just a standalone dessert. It plays a starring role in many beloved sweets. Let's take a sweet journey around the world and witness how meringue makes a grand appearance in some of the most adored desserts. Starting down under, we have the pavlova, a dessert named after the Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova. This dessert is light, airy, and elegant, much like the ballerina herself. The crisp outer shell of the meringue, paired with the soft marshmallow-like interior, is a dance of textures that leaves your palate wanting more. Topped with fresh fruits and whipped cream, it's a symphony of flavors that truly sings. Next, we travel to France, the land of pastries and desserts. Here, meringue is the star of the show in the beloved macarons. These petite pastries are made by sandwiching 2 almond meringue cookies with a creamy filling. The meringue gives the macaron its characteristic lightness and crispness, a perfect contrast to the rich, creamy filling. The meringue also imparts a subtle sweetness to the macaron, balancing out the intense flavors of the filling. Now, let's journey to America, where meringue is the crowning glory of the classic lemon meringue pie. The pie is a delightful play of contrasts with a buttery, crumbly crust, a tangy lemon curd filling, and a billowy meringue topping. The meringue isn't just a pretty decoration here. It serves a crucial function, balancing the tartness of the lemon with its sweet, fluffy goodness. It also adds a textural contrast, making every bite a sensory delight. But meringue doesn't stop there. It's also used in cakes, providing a light, airy texture that makes each mouthful melt in your mouth. One such cake is the dacquoise, a French dessert made by layering almond or hazelnut meringue with whipped cream or buttercream. The meringue layers give the cake its unique, light-as-air texture, while also adding a subtle sweetness that complements the rich, creamy filling. Meringue also finds its way into a variety of other desserts, like mousse, where it adds a delicate, airy texture, and Eton mess, a traditional English dessert that combines crumbled meringue with whipped cream and strawberries for a delightful summer treat. In all these desserts, meringue plays a key role, adding lightness, sweetness, and a unique texture that can't be replicated with any other ingredient. Its versatility allows it to be used in a variety of ways, from a crisp, light cookie to a fluffy, creamy topping. So, whether it's a delicate macaron, a tangy lemon meringue pie, a light-as-air pavlova, or a decadent dacquoise, Meringue truly is the secret ingredient that elevates these desserts from delicious to divine. From tangy pies to delicate macarons, meringue truly elevates these desserts to another level. It's clear that meringue is more than just whipped egg whites and sugar. It's a versatile element that can transform any dessert. We've journeyed together through its sweet, airy world, exploring its different types, from the raw French and Italian meringues to the baked Swiss meringue. We've unraveled the process of making it, revealing the crucial stages of whipping the protein mass into soft, medium, or hard peaks. We've also seen how it takes center stage in desserts worldwide, in various forms and applications, bringing an extra flair to lemon tarts, pavlova, macarons, and much more. But the beauty of meringue extends beyond what we've covered. It's a canvas for culinary creativity, inviting you to experiment and innovate. It's an avenue for perfecting your baking skills and understanding the science behind it. Understanding meringue can truly take your baking skills to the next level. So go ahead, whip up some meringue and let your culinary creativity soar.